Lesson 14, Continual Development. So in this lesson, we're looking at ways to keep your progress, your success with learning strategies going for the long term. Now, one fascinating idea with learning strategies is that you can argue there are increasing returns to effort. In other words, as you get better at techniques, your capacity to get much better increases. As you increase your memory a little bit, your capacity, your ability to get much better over the, let's say, the coming 6 months is increased. As you increase your knowledge, your ability to see new connections and new ideas is enhanced, and so on. So it's well worth thinking about learning strategies and building knowledge for the long term, because the payback can be absolutely enormous. Now, it's a very common human feeling. I think there's a cognitive bias called the planning fallacy, and this suggests that we systematically underestimate the complexity of tasks, the work required, the energy and resources required, and therefore we tend to finish tasks a bit late and with more stress than we'd hoped for. So we tend to overestimate what we can do in the short to medium term. Maybe over the next week or month or year, you may think you can achieve more than you can. But strangely, the opposite effect is evident on the long term. So you may well underestimate what you can achieve in the next 3, 4, 5 or 10 years. Now, in terms of learning and learning strategies, it's well worth thinking about the very long term. So whatever you think you can achieve over several years, you're probably going to exceed your expectations, which is a positive thing. In terms of growing knowledge, the model, the ATAG, the acquire, test, and then apply and grow or develop knowledge, replays practice and training. So do a few exercises with each technique, keep them in mind, and I suspect that most of you will find the single most useful part of the course is reading and speed reading. And the reason is this: it's the fastest way to build knowledge. You can tap into the very best thinkers in human history. You can acquire the very best and most interesting and creative thoughts and start applying them for yourself. It's a almost unlimited resource, absolutely terrific. With more knowledge, of course, you're building your capacity for problem solving and better decisions, far better creative thinking, and also you're building your memory, because as you'll read, you'll mark those crucial ideas in text, possibly with an image or keyword in mind. You then might build stories, narratives. Of course, you're working your memory, and that makes the knowledge in that text far more useful for the long term. Now, a quick thought about learning and indeed about human happiness, and it's about being in the zone. Now, if you read a text like Csikszentmihalyi, a researcher who looked at when people are happiest, he found through his research that people feel best when they're immersed in a task that's employing their skills really at the fringes of the comfort zone. In other words, they're applying well-established skills, but kind of at the limit. So it's just developing them that little bit. They haven't got the boredom of doing something too easy. They haven't got the extreme stress of doing something that's way too novel and difficult and challenging. They're on the cusp, they're on the fringe of those worlds, if you like, the worlds of comfort and hardship, of order and chaos, or the words in organizational theory of exploiting, doing an old thing better, or exploring, finding a better new thing. So as you go through these learning strategies, this is an incredibly helpful idea to bear in mind. You really want to be on that cusp, that fringe between order and chaos, between comfort and hardship, kind of on the edge of your learning comfort zone. That idea really repays attention. So, exercise 14.1. Consider some new area of knowledge you'd like to dominate, acquire and use. Go out, research, find the tops, let's say 4 to 10 books on that topic, and speed read those books over the coming 2 to 5 weeks. Very rapidly, therefore, you will gain core insight, very useful knowledge about this new area. It's a wonderful thing. Try it, see how it works for you. Lesson 14 summary. Don't underestimate your abilities. Try to think about your learning development for the very long term, because you'll probably get increasing returns to effort over time. In the next lesson, we look at a bonus topic of brain training.